Well, I think the main thing is that the Mimic tier is definitely using a fully upgraded Mimic tier is a completely different way to experience the game than I've felt in, say, Demon Souls, Dark Souls, all three of them, Bloodborne, Sekiro. Because being able to take away a boss's attention from you really stops everything that the game is all about. Because you don't really need to learn how to block anything. All you do is you go in and you get your hit when the boss isn't looking, and then you just kind of back away. And I had the shield too, so I didn't even really need to dodge. Or you could just spam roll backwards, wait for them to turn their attention to the Mimic tier. The Mimic tier has so much strength, it's doing so much damage. And it changed me from failing, what did I fail, like 10, 12 times in a row? And then and like really not even understanding, like not even feeling like I was getting close to understanding, where the windows of opportunity are going to be, where you really would have to learn. It would be like a duel. You'd have to figure out, where are these little windows and of opportunity, where are you even going to where are you going to get a chance to attack, where are you going to get a chance to heal. And it's just not there at all. The Mimic tier it's fun. It's like playing in a god mode, you have fun in a game, but there's just not that big challenge. So it makes a lot of the smaller stuff more fun and kind of dealing with the mobs and stuff, but it definitely it definitely changes it completely. Will I keep using it? I don't know, probably. I don't really feel like the amount of time that I put into, say, the bosses of Bloodborne, Sekiro, the really hard ones, you trade like hours and hours of work and slow progress, and then you get one explosive feeling of euphoria. But in the end, it's not really like that's a real life skill. You know what I mean? Like if I went to a judo class and I put in all the work, and then I broke through and I knew judo, I could use that for the rest of my life. Like being able to beat Vicar Amelia is not like a transferable skill. It was fun, but it was also really frustrating. So I guess it's just how you value that. I mean, I don't feel like I need to trade the learning of it anymore. I just want to see the world at this point and enjoy a little bit of a challenge. That was like nothing. I mean, that was with the Mimic tier, that boss fight went from being something that I couldn't beat 10 times in a row to easier than like dealing with those guys with the spears, just down below, just some main characters who had some armor and a bit of a shield. So it's it's definitely different. It's kind of transferable between FromSoft games. But yeah, I mean, like Horky says, they put it in the game, so I mean, I'm happy to use it and get through. I kind of want to see the world. It's already a really, really big game. With something like, I mean, Bloodborne in those games, a lot of them, they took like, 20, 30 hours, maybe 40 hours if you're doing all the side stuff. But if you have to bang your head against a boss for maybe an hour or two, or like in Sekiro, the final boss took me, oh my God, that took me like 7 or 8 hours. At least in one day stream. I don't even know if I had another day where I was trying against him and losing. But I also enjoyed that combat system more in Sekiro. So, yeah, exactly. I mean, there's different ways to play, and I can see why it is definitely an easy way. And you're kind of with me for the most part, but of all the games you can think of, FromSoft know how to deliver the sense of achievement. Oh, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. There is that moment that you can only really get is you can only get that from learning and pushing yourself through it and breaking through. There is no correct way. It's got to be whatever you feel is right. But yeah, I think I'm just happy to see a lot of the world and keep going on. I don't know. Maybe on the next one, on the next boss, I'll try it without the Mimic tier for a little bit. Maybe the first few rounds, and See if I feel like I can get closer to it. See if I'm making progress. It is. I mean, it feels a little empty using it, for sure. Yeah, the mimic is. It just feels so powerful, right? But I like him. I've grown attached to the mimic tier. Like, I don't unlimited items, being able to use potions is a little much. Yeah, that's crazy. I think the thing with the mimic tier, how I feel about it is that I don't agree that people should be, like when people say like, oh, you didn't, if you use the mimic tier, I don't know if they don't like that, if they're being negative about it, I think that's kind of bullshit. But if you are using the mimic tier, like I've seen people use it and use these powerful weapons and they beat an enemy and they're like, yeah, and they're really cheering, and I guess like you can cheer, but you just, you need to realize it's like you entered a race against people with no legs and you have legs. And when you win, you can't be like, fuck yeah, fuck you guys, fucking no-leggers. You need to, I think the appropriate response is, okay, sorry, I've got legs, you guys don't have legs. All right. You need to almost like apologize to the bosses. Not to the neckbeards, but to the bosses who are not real. It does take you out of the fight. There's sometimes the mimic tier will get the final blow in, and you're like, oh man, I wanted that. And I've leveled it up to its maximum too, so it's just crazy. And it's spawning with like a really powerful weapon and armor. Before, like when I was using the jellyfish, it was more strategic at first, and then it got to the point where the jellyfish was just kind of getting destroyed. But I also wasn't leveling them up yet, so I don't know. I'm still having fun using it. I'm having a lot of fun using it. I'm probably seeing. Do you think you deserve it? I think like I'm possibly seeing more of the game than I might have. I might have like bounced off it a bit. I might have hit some bosses that I felt were too tough and maybe not gone back to them. I don't know. Because it is such a long game. If you want to take the aggro off, don't want to take a joke of the challenge, use a shitty weak summon. Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, is you're getting like a double attack in it too. So I don't mind. I don't really mind. I was actually quite intimidated going into Elden Ring, thinking, am I really ready for more of this? I mean, these games they're really like nothing else, where you start in them and you feel like you have to finish them because you want to feel like you did something that some other people couldn't do. Beating Bloodborne, beating Sekiro. It's not possible for everybody. I really don't think I think almost anybody could beat this with these summons. But I am still having fun. There's other fun ashes, decently powered ones that help but don't diminish the challenges. Soldiers of Fortune. Yeah. It's just up to the person, and I'm just really enjoying this game for the atmosphere, It's just the podcast. Oh, cool. I guess if I'd gone through this game and not used them, or used a different one, and I guess it would annoy me if that I had completed that and really gone through those challenges and just maybe had other people be like, oh yeah, oh you beat the game, me too, hard, real hard. I'm like, no, it's not. This is ridiculous. I mean, that boss battle there was easier than, I mean, that was like playing like God of War or something, you know. It's just like cinematic set piece. There are Mario bosses that are harder than that. Oh, there's one that does a support healer. But I feel like I don't care. I feel like I'm okay with this slightly empty feeling because I'm getting to enjoy and see so much else of this beautiful world. So, I feel like this empty kind of melancholy music after beating the boss is very fitting for how I feel right now about it. And I'm happy to continue on. And then maybe I'll try the next boss without it, or maybe a different kind of a summon. And that's the thing, is like this is bigger than any of the other ones, so yeah, it's a lot longer, say, than like a Sekiro or Dark Souls, Bloodborne, where you can, because you're spending 8 hours, like, 4 to 8 hours here, 4 to 8 hours here, you're up to maybe 40. We're already at, where are we at now? 57 hours, so 60 hours. It's also shorter than all the other ones if you're only doing the main story. Yeah, but I feel like if Ronnie's Rise is maybe technically not in the main story, but to me that's the most absolute memorable story in the game so far has been Ronnie and Fia for me. And then way back in the beginning, when I saw that person sitting on like a bench on a pathway, and then when you come back later and you see they're dead, or when you first hear and see those big clanging metal walking houses, or when you first encounter that big tree sentinel. Aha! Because the tree sentinel is so difficult. On a guess, I would think because of this big run-up, there's probably 6 hours left of just moving and not counting, say, multiple attempts to get at a boss. Maybe 4. To me, it feels really like it's almost over. But this girl just said you need to go over here, and then you need to come back here. But it just seems like there's this left, and maybe more. 5 to 10 sessions. Holy shit. This is a big fucking game. And there's also, I didn't do the volcano. So. Wow. What a huge, huge game. No, that's a good point. I mean, if there was still, say, 10, 12, 15 hours left, I don't mind kind of zooming through it. It just kind of feels more like I'm playing The Witcher, or I'm playing just a regular old AAA game, action game. Yeah. And I'm sure that, the people that From Software is their, this is their be-all, end-all. Like for somebody like Lena that loves that challenge, that soaks up these games and prints with all that lore, every little bit of lore. Who's a Morgott? Who's a Mogwin? Who's a Margit? And then, for you guys to just this is your Valhalla. This is your, what would it be for me? Like Breath of the Wild 2, When Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, it's going to be, I want to do everything in it, and I want to do it in a way that's going to feel the best. And I'm going to really think about, the abilities that I use, and if some things maybe make things too easy, that would change how I play it. But I also know that Breath of the Wild 2 is going to be massive. So sometimes you do need to just kind of be able to go through things. Where I'm very, very happy to see their world and climbing up that dragon staircase, the music, the characters, just there's so much creativity, and I'm really happy to see all of the world. And it's funny because I feel like a bit of a hypocrite because I'm sort of criticizing a lot of AAA games for not really being any kind of challenging and removing any thought. But I'm playing this in a way that it feels about as difficult as those games. But there's still just so much more beautiful creation in this game and soul and so much heart and just beautiful, like, I mean, just the way that they decorate an environment, keep a theme, keep the scale, hint at things, the way, like, the enemies look like they're from that area, they're born of that area, and it's just fantastic. And actually, there's so much more story in this one. Like, all that stuff with Ronnie and Fia, it was just, like, really beautifully done. Like, probably the highlight for me was doing Ronnie and Fia's quest, that guy murdering Fia, and then me deciding to attack him. Not a cutscene where your character's a badass and attacks him. Like, me deciding I'm going to swing at this guy and kill him. And really not knowing whether that was going to, like, be a huge consequence. Like, maybe I'm going to shut myself out of a quest. Maybe he would have given me something. Maybe he would have traded something with me. Because these games are full of consequences. Do you use this thing to get a bunch of runes, or do you wait to see what kind of ability you can get from it, or equipment, or whatever? And that was probably the most memorable thing, and that's something that doesn't happen in most AAA games, is that there is no choice, Whereas I reacted to Fia's murderer and really enjoyed murdering him, and it felt like I was playing a role in a game. And having that choice, that was great. So I'm still having a lot of fun with this game, and it's still the best game of the year for me. But I do feel a little bit empty. But it's like I'll trade this little bit of an empty feeling to have a nice time throughout the rest of it, as opposed to trading the several hours it would take me to get that glorious feeling. And like Corky's saying, I'm 38. I have a child coming. And I have a lot of stuff to do. And I'd like the time that I spend with this game be, for the most part, like, pretty positive. So it's pretty cool that you can get to those different experiences out of it. All right. Well, next time we'll do the Volcano Manor. That was Too Long Didn't Watch.